actually really nervous to talk about this. More nervous than I've ever been. And honestly, it's because I've never been in a place where I've been this vulnerable and this transparent about what's going on in my life. But I knew when I started this channel that God was going to have me do this for a specific reason. And authenticity is one of the things that I wanted to focus on. And how can I be authentic with people if I'm not even authentic enough to open up about these things, you know? So basically, off the title of the video, you can tell that I have currently went through a lot of changes, and one of those changes has been stopping school, literally stopping my college career in the middle of my senior year. It literally sounds insane. It's so crazy. I've heard so many people like take breaks and stuff like that in college and all that, but never heard anybody do it smack dab in the middle of their senior year. But here I am. And the way it happened was literally so unexpected, so much of a curveball. I did not think this was gonna happen, but it did. Basically, let's start from last semester. Last semester, I had a terrible semester. Like, it was probably one of the worst ones mentally for me, because I wasn't there. Like, I was mentally going through it. Like, I'm gonna make another video on that and self-sabotage later on, because that was the word for last semester, like self-sabotage. I was destroying everything personally, and I was just not in a good mental space in any way, shape, or form. But anyway, so last semester, like, I was really going through it emotionally. I was very isolated. I really was just going through the motions. Really, I felt like every single day was just like in one ear, not the other. I was just living through the day, but it was like this constant fear of like failure. I don't know, like just going through me anyway. So my grades had dropped tremendously, like lower than they ever had. Like, I have always maintained a 3.0 or higher my entire college career. Last semester, I dropped down to a 2.1. A 2.1. Crazy. And it was just, like I said, like mentally, I just was not in a good space. Like, there were many nights whenever I had so much anxiety, like I would literally be like puking almost. And like, I was just like so overwhelmed constantly. I just did not know where I was going or how I was going about things or what was going to be like, what I was supposed to do. And everything just felt so heavy. Even whenever it came to just doing like one assignment, like I would literally like be sick to my stomach with nausea, you know what I mean? Just trying to do it would just literally physically make me sick. And I would get so like, I guess like afraid that I just wasn't going to understand what was going on or anything. Like, there were so many voices in my head telling me that I just did not know what I was doing constantly. Anyway, last semester finished and I crawled my way through it. Literally crawled my way through it. I cannot even explain how terrible it was. But this semester came around and basically, so just to go give a little more side story to my college experience. I did not grow up with money. Okay, like there was no money, there's no, like, you know what I mean, like your mom and dad could pay for your college tuition. That wasn't the thing for me. That just wasn't, like, I honestly did not even think I was going to make it to college. Like, I didn't think I was going to make it to college, because I just knew my family did not have money like that. So the fact that I was even able to attend college like blew my mind, like literally, like, and I wasn't even going to go then either. The only reason I went was because, one, it was free, it was community college, which don't diss community college because it's bomb. And two, I did not want to be like everyone else in my hometown, sitting on my butt and doing nothing or getting pregnant or doing drugs. So I was like, no, I'm gonna go to college. So I started pursuing my degree or whatever. Like I said, I didn't have any money. I ended up joining the speech team. I got a scholarship, and speech has opened so many doors for me, you know what I mean, to the point where I went to Wiley, you know what I mean, on a full ride, and then turned around out after a whole bunch of other craziness and went to George Mason, you know. And George Mason, you know, unlike Wiley, like they don't offer like full ride scholarships or anything like that. And that was like a hard, thing for me. Like, for the first time in my college experience, I was actually having to work to pay rent, you know what I mean? Like, and to like work on like paying tuition and all that. And that was like a whole nother level of stress. Like, honestly, like living in this area, like in the DMV area, is like super expensive as is. But as somebody who has never paid rent, going from like not paying rent at all to paying rent and then doing college full time on top of that, like, and speech, let's not forget about speech, I was literally in shambles. And if you remember last year at nationals, for my speech people who know what speech is, like at nationals, stuff like that, like I was just not in a good mental space. Like, I literally had a panic attack at awards, at NFA awards. I had a literal panic attack. Like, I was like, in front of everybody, like my entire team, like literally like losing it. Like, I was just not in it. You know what I mean? Like, I was like literally, I was having so many panic attacks. Like, and like my coach was like trying to help me out, calm me down, but I think that was like the first time I was like, dude, like you're going through it. Anyways, so speech opened up a bunch of doors for me financially. I got to go to George Mason. I'm working on Mason. I'm working on, paying off, rent, which is still really hard for me, and all these other things. And come January, basically I had a balance at Mason, and Mason has this rule where if you don't have, if you have a balance, you have to have, I think, $1,500 in your account is like the max amount of a balance you can owe to register for classes. Like, if you have anything more than 15, like they're not going to allow you to enroll, like whatsoever. And I had a $10,000 balance. It was my first time having a $10,000 balance, you know what I mean? And again, don't have money. I don't come for money. You know what I mean? I'm getting money. Thank you, Jesus. But my family has not been financially wealthy. Like, we're like lower class, like legitimately. And so like, it's not like I could just be asking my mom to be paying my college tuition or anything like that. And when it came to like, loans and stuff like that, my mom does not have good credit. My father is not in the picture, and it's just not, it wasn't to where I had the option to take out a loan. And even when I tried Sallie Mae and I tried all these other places, they would not approve me because it was like, you're a senior, there's no point in us approving you unless you have a co-signer. Like, because I wasn't going to take out like $50,000. I was literally going to take out like the smallest amount just to pay my bill. You know what I mean? But they were just like, no, like, we're not, if you can't get a co-signer, we're not approving you for like this loan. And like, it got to a point to where like I was like really like fighting, like going up to the financial aid office every single week, multiple times a week in January, trying to push to get into school, you know what I mean? Trying to push to get enrolled, and talking to 1,000 different people. And if you dealt with Mason's financial aid, you know how ridiculous they are. Like, it's like there's 5,000 different people sending you in 5,000 different directions, and everybody has somebody else to blame except for themselves. That's a whole nother conversation. But regardless, like, it got to the last point, you know what I mean? And my coach is involved, and like, she's helping me and all this other, and she's basically, we're like talking to financial aid and stuff like that. And before you even ask about FAFSA, like, we tried all that, like, they weren't going to approve my FAFSA until my loan was done. So, literally, like, let's say about a week before was the deadline to enroll, period, for the semester. And me and my coach had went up to the aid office and we were talking, and the woman that was speaking to us was basically like, you have until next week to enroll. If you're not enrolled by next week, then it's just not going to happen this semester. And I was like, honestly, like, my crazy faith kicked in. I'm like, God is going to make a way. Like, God is going to make a way for me to get enrolled. God has provided exceedingly and abundantly above all that I've asked for. God is the only reason I'm in school now. So I'm like, there's going to be some type of breakthrough. Like, I just knew, I was like, there's going to be some type of breakthrough. Something's about to change. Like, I'm not about to doubt. I'm not about to, you know what I mean? Like, But we walked outside and we had like a very intimate moment, you know what I mean? And like I cried, you know what I mean? And she cried, and we kind of hugged it out, you know what I mean? We're like, there's gonna be a miracle, something's gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like, let's keep our hopes up, and if worse comes to worse, then we'll, you know, move on in a different way or something like that. And I had so much like faith. I'm like, God is gonna provide. Like, it was to the point where I'm like praying every single day. I'm like, God, send me $10,000. Like, I know you're gonna do it. I know you've done it before. Like, just, you know, make it happen. And literally, like, after I had left, and we had finished like hugging and all that, I drove in my car, and I came home, and I was like crying, and I was praying, and I'm like, God, like, what's going on? Because this is really feeling like something is about to change. Like, I'm trying to stay like super like full of hope and faith and all this, you know what I mean? But I don't understand what's going on. Like, I was like, you're the one that said I was going to graduate. Why am I not finishing? You know what I mean? Like, and I literally was like praying and crying, and I ended up, you know, wiping my tears, and I had to get on a phone call with some of my sisters, and we were talking about the situation. And literally in the midst of all that, there was so much clarity as they were talking to me. It was just like, let go. Like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, just let go, you know? And I really had to just take that in, you know? So I just sat and I just pondered that thought, you know what I mean? Like, just let go, just let go. Like what is God trying to tell me to do, you know? And I believe in that moment, God was telling me to stop trying to fight this, you know? And I'm not gonna lie, like, that was hard for me. Like, it was incredibly hard because I didn't understand what was going on. Like, I didn't understand why, like, why God was telling me to like stop trying, you know what I mean? I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I've been told multiple times that like I'm supposed to graduate, you know what I mean? Like, God's telling me, you know, you're gonna graduate, all this other, you know, so why in the middle of like, you know, my senior year and almost being to the finish line, you know, why I would need to stop. And I really just had to just like work on surrender and work on letting go, because I had so many thoughts like racing through my head. Like, there's no way, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way that this is happening. There's no way that like God is gonna make me like take a break out of the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean? But I just remember like hearing him tell me, like, you know what I mean? Like, Jiraiya, like, you have to trust me. And you have to understand that, like, even if you don't get what's going on, like, you don't understand, like, the season you're in or where you're going or any of that, like, you have to understand that I have you, you know what I mean? And, like, I got you, and that everything is going to work out. And literally, I got off the call and I prayed again, and I was like, God, like, I believe, like, you're telling me now to, like, just let go, you know, just to surrender and to just own that, you know? And I was like, I'm going to take this leap of faith, and I believe that if I'm wrong, you're going to put me in another direction, but I think this is what you're telling me to do. So, the next day, I literally took that whole day to just like grieve it out, to just feel. And mind you, this was literally not even a month ago. Like, this is not even a month ago. And we had our team meeting. And so I went into the team meeting, and I knew like it was going to be my last one. Like, so like an hour before, like, I messaged my coach, and we still had to remember, we had like 6 days at this point until like, you know, the deadline for school or whatever. But I just knew like I had to put it down. So I went in there and I was like, this is gonna be my last meeting, you know. And she was like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and then I went in the meeting and I said goodbye to my teammates, and I walked out of that meeting with a face full of tears, and there was this feeling in my heart that I knew I had done the right thing, even if I felt like complete crap, even though I felt like terrible. Like, I knew that was the right thing to do. Like, I knew that I had to just let it go, you know, even if I didn't understand what was going on in my life. Like, and a lot of people are going to be like, no, the only reason, you know what I mean, that you had to stop was finances and all that. You don't serve the God that I serve, and you have not seen the things that I have seen, and that's fine. But I've seen God make $10,000 appear out of nowhere. So that's besides the point. But honestly, truly, 100%, God was telling me to let it go. And the last month has been me battling, you know what I mean, how hard it has been to stop school in the middle of, you know, finishing, you know what I mean, how hard it has been. And I've really thought and pondered on people that I've seen that have been non-traditional, because I'm non-traditional already, you know what I mean, and people that have had to take gaps and breaks and all kinds of stuff, you know, and I've always admired those people, you know, because I know how hard that is, you know, to have to stop, you know, for finance reasons or for family reasons, you know, just in life in general, you know, how hard it is to just have to stop college, you know, when the entire world tells you you're supposed to be in college. The entire world tells you you're supposed to be pursuing a degree. And if you don't have a degree, then you're not nothing. And if you stop in the middle, then you're not going to finish. And if you do this, then, you know what I mean? Like, you have so many voices from people who aren't even happy in their careers, mind you. You know what I mean? Telling you that this is what you're supposed to do, and this is how you get successful, and this is how you do that. And honestly, like, I do believe that I'm going to go back to college, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to finish and I'm going to graduate, because that's what God said, and that's period. But I do want this video to be a message to people who are going through things like me, who are literally like not understanding the journey and all that. Like, it doesn't matter what other people have to say about you right now. Like, it does not. And like, you have to understand that, like, the path you're on is different than the path they're on, and they did not go through the things you went through. They didn't experience the things you went through. If some of y'all saw the timeline of my life and the things that I went through in college and out of college, the trauma and everything else, like, y'all would, yeah, it's amazing that I'm still alive. But like, literally, like, do not let people like get in your head and make you feel like you have to, you know, finish now or all this other. It's not their life. It's not their life. And for anybody who feels like they need to, like, you know, give me advice on, like, you know, you should attend this college now, or you should just leave Mason, or you should do this, like, it's not your life. Like, this is not your journey. And I appreciate the fact that you're trying to help, but I have to be in a position where I'm willing to let God lead me wherever it has to be. So that means if I never finish college again, well, then so be it. But best believe that I'm going to trust God through this entire process. Like, I'm going to trust him. Like, I'm going to surrender. And it doesn't matter if my parents or my aunts and uncles or my old teachers or my old coaches or cousins or people who just think, you know what I mean, that they have the solution have to say, you know what I mean? Like, the main thing that I would want from all of you is your support. Like, I don't need 1,000 different recommendations of different schools to go to and all that. I just want your support. But if you can't give that, that's okay too, because I know that God is supporting me in this journey. And I know that everything is going to be okay. Like, and that's the truth of this entire video. While I don't understand the process or any of it, like, I do know that God has me. And I know that everything's going to be all right. I know that everything is going to be all right. I know that there's greatness on the other side of this. I know that, like, even if I don't understand completely everything, I know there is better. I know that my life is still going to be fantastic and amazing and incredible, and I'm still going to reach millions, and I just know that God has this under control. So yes, I had to say goodbye to speech in the middle of my senior year. No more AFA and NFA. Yes, that sucks, and I'm struggling with it on a day-to-day basis. And yes, I had to stop college in the middle, and that hurts too. Like, that really hurts. And there are days when I wake up and I cry. And there are days whenever I wake up and I feel like I'm on top of the world. And then there are nights whenever I feel like I am going nowhere in my life. And then there are, you know, middle lunch conversations where I feel like I'm right where I need to be. But despite all my feelings, I know that I'm going to make it through. I know that there's more in store for me. And I know that God is not done with me. Like, God is not done with me. So for anybody who needs to know that, or is going through just a really hard time, I just want you to be encouraged to understand that it's not over. Like, it's not over. Like, there's so much more for you on the other side. And I can't wait to see what God has in store for me.